Today, I am going to tell you about how I overcame my anxiety. But first, I want to take a quick review for you to look at Frank here. Frank has two stocks. You see, this stock is still doing well. His other stock going back here, it's totally dying. What's up? I've been watering him and doing all the right things for him. I even replanted him in a new pot, and he goes off and does this. So for the moment, I've just shifted Frank so that his back stock isn't seen. And if it annoys you, I'm so sorry. I've been trying my best. Please forgive me. But back onto my anxiety. Let's go way back in history. I remember from the point of being in the womb, being nervous about being stuck in there. Maybe not that far back. But I do remember going to my first day of kindergarten. And there was no way I was going to sit in this room full of kids that I didn't know with Miss Ferguson, who I did not know. I was scared shitless. And I remember clinging to the door, crying, "No, Mommy, don't leave me here. I'm going to die." It felt like that. It felt like that inside. And from then on, I just continued in this state of total discomfort onward. But over time, I learned to mask it, and people pretended like maybe I was pretty cool because I just didn't show that I was scared shitless. And that went on and on and on and on and on until the age of about 15 when a friend of mine's older brother said, "Here, have this shot of Jack Daniels." And I took that shot, and then I took another two, and all of a sudden, all of that weight just had been lifted off of my shoulders. Alcohol was not a problem. Alcohol was the solution. It lifted that anxiety that I had. So I fast forward 30 years of drinking and mess and anxiety and a whole bunch of good things, whole bunch of bad things, but it kept on getting worse because to cure my anxiety, I drank, and then I needed more and more and more alcohol, and then alcoholism, and then detoxes and rehabs, and total disaster for about 8 years. So I'm at the point where I've got to get rid of this anxiety because there's, I tried everything, and it was a whole lot more than anxiety at this point. My life was just falling apart because of the drinking. So I tried everything. I went to the meetings. I went to therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, DBT, SBT, RTR, all this stuff, meditation, Buddhism, and nothing worked for me. So I figured out something totally new way to go about it. And it all started with the thought that, hey, maybe with the realization that I did not put that anxiety there. Since I had it since I was 4, before I even really gained a full consciousness, any awareness that I was here on this planet, that maybe it's not my fault. So let me share something with you. I'm going to be putting my head on this and share my screen, but this doesn't make sense just yet. And that is okay. And by the way, I don't have anxiety anymore, and I like to sing to you. I want to show you a beautiful picture here with the new solution that I developed to overcome my anxiety. And I think it's going to work for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. It also overcame my alcoholism because once I got rid of the anxiety, I didn't need the alcohol anymore. And that is this picture. There's a whole lot in this picture, and I'm going to move my head front and center here. This is the default perspective. This is the inside of our head. Inside of my head. Fine, I won't talk about your head. Fine, don't get all offended. Don't be all mad at me. This is the inside of my head, where the default perspective, when I was 4, 5, whatever, when I was scared to go into that classroom, and we assume that all the thoughts and all the emotions, however toxic they may be, and all the behaviors that we carry out are our own because it's our brain and it's what we do. That's the old perspective. I'm presenting to you a new perspective over here, the IC perspective. That's the instinctual core. I want to present the concept that the instinctual core is basically the primitive reactive brain that wasn't made for this world, that was made for a world of 30,000 years ago, that also exists in our head. And we know it exists in our head. We've heard all about it. It's been about plenty of jokes at bars late at night, but when we start to think about it, as instead of it as being part of us, I want to present the option that maybe it is absolutely a separate intelligence inside our head. Something that's trying to put a separate agenda into your subconscious brain, trying to take over, and that's exactly what it is. It's basically taking the code from the DNA and along with the subconscious brain, and becomes a separate thinking, not intelligent, separate thinking intelligence that just happens not to be that intelligent. It saved the crap out of us 30,000 years in so many different ways, but in today's world, it just doesn't get what's going on. The IC perspective is where we decide that there is something in our brain that's sending us signals, that's trying to help us, but it is being totally counterproductive. I started with the smaller notion of this, but I've developed it on and on and on, figuring out all the things that the IC are doing and why it's screwing us up totally. Because so many of us are out there suffering from alcoholism, addiction, although those are really two of the same things, anxiety, depression, and just a whole lot of other disorders. And I know for me, this solved everything. When I started looking at myself as different from the instinctual core, I was able to treat, although it was something in my head, I was able to start to treat it like a little puppy, that's just lost its way, instead of a pet puppy that I can pet, kind of like a virtual pet inside my head and say, okay, I get it. I see why you're scared for me to walk into this classroom of strangers. Because back in the good old days, if you left your tribe and were thrown into a different tribe, you have no idea what their intentions were. And this instinctual core basically said, all of these people can kill you. Back then, that's the way it was. If you weren't with your tribe, you were put into a rival tribe all of a sudden, all of them could kill you. You could lose your life. So the instinctual core wasn't sending me anxiety. It was sending me serious signals to get the hell out of there or you're going to die. When you start to look at things like that, you can start to say, hey, wait a second, I see. That might have made sense if we were thrown into a rival tribe 30,000 years ago. Who knows what they're going to do with us? But that's not the way the world is. We were being thrown into a kindergarten class to learn. But that thing inside of us didn't know that. And of course, that is just one example of millions that happened in my life where this instinctual core took over. And once I realized that it had been flooding my subconscious with a whole bunch of lies about my entire life, I was able to start to reclaim my life and start to see when it was the instinctual core acting, sending fear, sending demands like, you're not good enough, don't go in there, you can't compete, and setting judgments, and then setting demands, run away. I remember a time this is first grade, this is a wonderful story, where I was supposed to get on stage let me jump over to the IC User's Guide, because I developed a user's guide so that we can break down every single different situation where we have anxiety and we're told by the instinctual core to fear and run away, but we don't need to. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of view, and here is what I call the user's guide to the instinctual core. I'm going to move some stuff here, and over here on this side is the activation filter. Okay, and a lot of this is going to go over your head for the moment, but all of it is explained at the Instinct Center, where you will be able to work through any episode of anxiety, depression, addiction, and see why it's not you, but the instinctual core inside of you trying to get you to do something. But I'm going to tell you about a situation that I was in first grade, and it was a drastic, life-threatening situation. I was supposed to get up on stage and recite the nursery rhyme, Ba Ba Black Sheep. You know it? Ba ba black sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, 3 bags full. And the instinctual core was like, you are not getting up there. To the instinctual core, so, okay, this is the activation filter. This is all inputs: sight, sound, hearing, taste, touch, all the inputs that come in through our sensory inputs. The instinctual core, it is fast. It is quicker than us, and because it has incredible processing speed and it wants to run the show. It uses the brain, the what it's called in behavioral economics, the system one brain, but you're more familiar with the subconscious brain, which has about 1,000 definitions. But just let's look at this separate brain we have inside of us that's fast, that runs the show 90% of the time. That's what the instinctual core uses. That's what the summation of all our survival instincts uses. So it gets first dibs to decide to kind of give a summation of a scenario we are going into. And me getting up on that stage came through, and all of a sudden it said, "What? Are you kidding me? Are you insane? There's a pecking order we belong in. And by jumping out of the pecking order, that means you could make a fool of yourself and be cast out by your tribe, thrown to the bottom of the pecking order, not getting as much food, or just thrown out of the pecking order altogether." This was a real thing 30,000 years ago. You had a tribe of 100 and you had to be a useful part of the tribe or you were no good to that tribe. And on your own, back then, you died, period. So it wasn't worried about me getting up on stage and getting laughed at or messing up my lines. It was worried that if I did that, I was going to most certainly die. And it was sending me all sorts of fear, saying, "Are you insane?" That you know what fear feels like. You don't decide to have fear. Fear just happens, right? It's just something that comes up. And this is why, when we're looking at things from the IC perspective, this is why I was doing it. It was sending me judgments. Judgments. Don't you, you're not at the top of the pecking order. You can't get up on stage and tell the rest of the tribe anything. That is not your position. And it was sending me demands. Run away, run away. This is crazy. Do not do this. And so I'm going through this absolute crisis because I knew that the other rules I followed, because I followed the rules in order to be part of this society that we live in, I was going to get up on stage and do this. But the instinctual core was yelling so loud, pause, step back. At the same time this was happening, I was next to get online, and Kelly and Tracy, that were two twins in my class, were getting up on stage before me, and they had to do Mary Had a Little Lamb. And they were laughing and giggling and having this wonderful time. And I'm like, "Are you guys insane? You know you're about to get up there and be sent to your death. How are you not freaking out?" Of course, I was too shy to tell them that, but I was just so confused. I was boggled. So in the meantime, my level, the fires that were being set off on me to run away were just going off the charts. And the end goal, why the instinctual core was sending this fear, why it was sending these demands, why it was sending these judgments, was because it wanted me to do one of its three things. Either defeat the threat. I couldn't go out there and defeat Baba Black Sheep, but it did want me to avoid the threat. It wanted to make sure I don't get up there and die. And then the third one is attain the treat. There was no treat to be attained here. There was just a threat to be avoided. That was the situation. And guess what? That's when you know you have been hijacked. I didn't know any of this when I was 5, so of course I didn't know I was being hijacked by my instinctual core. So let's unselect that. So I did what any person, any normal kid would do that needs to save his life, whether it was having a gun pointed at him or about to get run over by a saber-toothed tiger, jumping out of the way of either situation. I had to jump out of the way of this situation in order to save my life. So I was sitting there, and they said, "And next up is Roger Andresen, coming to perform Baba Black Sheep." Boom! Right at that moment, I took off running. I ran out of the school. I ran across the schoolyard. I jumped this old 12-foot crickety fence like it was nothing. I kept on running. I swam across the canal. I ran another 3 blocks all the way home. I ran up to my room and I hid in a closet. Boom! I was gonna live. How's that for awesome? But the trick was, the instinctual core was telling me a lie. Getting up on that stage wasn't really going to kill me. Even if I totally bombed it, it could have been totally hilarious. But the instinctual core had total control over me. So I found safety in that closet, and I was there for a good 3 hours before the 100 people that were looking for me finally found me. Okay, kind of funny, but it's so real. This thing inside of us doesn't understand the world today, and it makes so many different situations that involve no survival threat at all today. It makes them look like it, but it's telling us lies. Okay, onward and onward, I continued to believe it until I found, oh, solution to all the fears, alcohol. Alcohol was not a problem. It was the solution until it became a problem when I slipped around the age of 35 from getting alcohol as a solution to getting alcohol as more important than breathing because, it's got these addictive properties that we've heard about. Anyways, at the age of 43, I figured all this stuff out and I realized all the lies the instinctual core was telling me. And I realized the solution that it was yelling at me 7,000 times a day, go get a drink, go get a drink, you suck, you can't do this, go get a drink, go get a drink, was all a lie. And it was at that time that it had full power over my subconscious. About 90% of it, I just had a peak there. And I just started to say, wait a second, all of these things in my subconscious are total bullshit. And I'm not going to believe them anymore. I am going to start making some overriding decisions. In the meantime, I've worked my butt off to develop this into a solution that can work for all of us. This template, this right here is the way the IC solution works, and it goes out of whack in a whole bunch of different ways to cause a whole bunch of different problems. But we're going to start joining on the IC investigation meetups to investigate them together. I've investigated thousands of situations, a lot of them my own and a lot of them those of other people to help them. I want to show you something else. When you start to realize, okay, that screaming that goes off in your head, when you decide you're going to make a decision to separate from the instinctual core and to start to treat it like a puppy and to start to train it, you no longer have just one alarm going off in your head. You've got the double meter going off in your head. It's not you that's freaking out. It's the instinctual core that's freaking out and sending you all these alarms. And you can look at it just like you can look at a puppy that's barking to get up on your bed, saying, get me on that bed. I need on that bed. And you can just say, no, little puppy, you're not getting on the bed. So now I can visualize any type of situation, social, whatever, where there's that fear. You still see it. I mean, in most situations, now that I've started to catch it and it started to realize that I'm not going to obey its yelling, at times I'll let it get me a little, unclick you. At times let it get me a little riled up, but only a little bit, never getting me over the max line where I have to run away. But I watch it, and if I watch it for a particular situation, especially, okay, like saying get up on stage, I'll watch it scream, and I haven't done a lot of that. It would be screaming really loudly, but I'd be like, yep, that's just it. And I would handle it and let it pass through. You see how I can just watch it screaming and barking and sending this fear, let it pass through, and then go ahead and do exactly what it's telling me not to do. Because I have control over me and I can watch it separately bark. And then when I continue to practice whatever activity is, like getting up on stage to sing, to recite the Baba, it's going down. Now I can get up on a stage in front of millions and Baba black sheep the hell out of it. I haven't had a drink in 8 years, almost 9 years since I've started to work on this IC solution. And I've finally put it into a format where it can work for everybody else. And I'm very excited about this. And now I'm going to roll it over to another little clip I have where it's going to tell you to like and support and subscribe, but mostly come on over to the Instinct Center to join us because I think I can help a lot of people with this. Okay, so let's roll that. It's going to say the same thing. By the way, I wanted to make one apology. I suck at videos right now. That's why this is going to be raw, but I want to get as many videos posted as I can so that I reach as many people as I can because I don't know how to do this. I'm going to hire a social media manager, blah, 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 blah. But we're going to do this. We're going to save a lot of people. Get there. Adios. Until. Roll it. Let's do that again. I didn't have the stop ready. Roll it. In closing, I just wanted to say that I developed the IC solution in a complete state of desperation. I tried everything out there to quit drinking, and I was on a downward spiral with the finish line of death until I found the first inklings of the IC solution. And I've developed it for many years to help it have the same result to so many people out there that are suffering. Please help me reach as many people as I can by liking and subscribing to this video. And if you're ready to start making changes for yourself, please come visit us at the Instinct Center and start to try out the separation from your instinctual core and join us in the IC investigation meetups and start your own overriding decisions of your own. I can't wait to have you. It's all for free for the time being, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you. See you soon.